Yo, welcome back to the Mindful Blerd Podcast. It is your host, Goofywise.
Motivational speaker.
Yes, sir. And we are back with another breakdown of your favorite TV shows and animes from a radical and spiritually rooted place. You know what I'm saying? And today we
That's
have
sexy.
none other than Izzy Kento back on the pod. Welcome
Izzy's back. Izzy's back.
Yes, and
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and just to say, it's been a while since we've had you back. A lot of changes in your life, right? Do you want to talk about that at all? Like,
I became a mom.
she became a mom.
Hell yeah.
Oh, congratulations, bro.
Congratulations, man.
Got a little one.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you hear in the background, she's here.
No, W, like she's one of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is all
Yeah.
good, bro.
Put her on.
One of us.
One of us. All right, so today's podcast is going to be about Attack on Titan. This is something I've been really looking forward to. David didn't watch Attack on Titan. He didn't finish the last season.
Finally finished. Man.
Finally finished. So it's kind of it's perfect because
Took me my
David and Izzy just finished the show, right? And so I think it's really good perspective. Like, I've watched it probably like 3 or 4 times back over, because it takes so long for him to come out. Sometimes you forget shit. So I just go back and watch it again, and I feel like every time I watch it, I learn so much. But also, I think that new perspective of when you first and freshly watch it, it's also a valid perspective that I think a lot of people are going to like relate to. You know what I mean? Because like, it's a very controversial anime. You know what I mean? It's very controversial, and I think it does what good art does, and it makes people question and think and etc. Right? So I have a lot to say. So I just want to start with you guys, and you guys just tell me your perspective on the show as people who have just finished it, or however you guys want to get into it. I don't want to feel like the motherfucker operator in this motherfucker. We all grown. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah.
I prefer you being the operator. What do you think, Izzy?
Oh my God. David, why don't you just stop telling everybody you're a sub? And just
I don't know what that means. Is that a Twitch thing? I really don't know.
Is that a Twitch thing? No way.
I don't know anything. Izzy,
You are in fact yeah.
true. Izzy, what do you think about Attack on Titan? What were your thoughts when it ended?
Yeah, because you just finished, right? Just recently.
Yeah, I did. So I rewatched it over and over for like the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Then the final season came out and I never finished that. So I just rewatched it all the way through from beginning through the final.
Yeah. And about how long?
And once they hit the final season, I was like, what the heck? Like, I didn't know that it like took that turn and like that now we have like new characters and like a whole new like, it just, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And that's a great question. Or that's a great distinction, I think, that I almost forget about after it's been so long. Is that when we leave off on season 3 and we start season 4, we're like, what the fuck is happening? You know
It's
what I
jarring
mean?
as hell.
Like, we are in a war zone in a completely different country. Like, we are just kind of thrust into this like new world. And I think that was kind of like, for me at first, it was kind of like, I don't know if I like this. Initially, like, this is not the story that I wanted to see. You know what I
But
mean?
I felt like it was very important to have,
Yeah, I think in the broader sense, for sure. Because I mean, I feel like there's so much I want to say, but I don't want to like. There's just so much I want to say. I just want to give people opportunity to talk. David, what were your thoughts on that when you first saw, like, you hopped into Attack on Titan and out of season 3, and then now you're into fucking Marley? You know what I mean? You're a whole different cast of characters. What were your thoughts on that initially?
My first thought was they do this a lot, right?
Yeah.
They're in each sort of season break. There's some kind of weird thing where like you start somewhere and you end somewhere else, or rather you end somewhere, you start somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I felt like they kind of gained my trust with the last season. So I was like, all right, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, but then I figured it out. I was like, I'm gonna just go along for the ride. So I had a great time. I thought it was necessary to kind of give us that outside world perspective. And I think at the same time, it kind of, I don't know, it played with time in the way that I think the story of Attack on Titan like plays with time initially. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? You have a sense already as the audience member that you're on the path to something that you're just not I don't know, like if I can get off this ride.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
really get that sort of feeling like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going with this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought it was a really interesting way to start that season, and it really set it up.
Yeah, I feel like it like I think you kind of described it like perfectly in a sense. Like the Attack on Titan is almost like, and this is because I think Isayama wrote it all at one time. Like there are not a lot of rooms for like small changes and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like the shit, or I mean, there are in a sense, but like the broader sense of the story is going to go where it's going to go because the story was written in that way. It's like it was already predetermined. You know what I mean? So while fans have kind of like had their favorites and these characters they kind of want to see return again, I feel like you said, the show's going to go where the fuck it wants to go. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think ultimately like that season of kind of like and being in Marley and kind of being exposed to the other world for the first time, I feel like one of two things happens. You know what I mean? Either you initially meet that discomfort of, you know, being in season 4 and you kind of just say, fuck these guys. I want to go back to Eren. Show me Eren. Show me the people that I love, the people that I've grown, you know, so much passion for. You know what I mean? Because they're surviving against Titans and then switching from Titans to against their government and against humans now. You know what I mean? Like I think it was just very interesting, but I think you either reacted to that with like, fuck all this, show me Eren, or you're like put in a place of like, holy shit, this world is much bigger and much more complicated than, originally. It's crazy to even say that because the show starts off with giant human motherfuckers eating people. Like it's like how do you find a way to then take it somewhere else beyond that and still keep it interesting? You know what I mean? I think it's that question of like, why is this happening? You know what I mean? But I feel like some people, I think, were just kind of like immediately like not really ready to see this, and I think that kind of shown in like how people felt about season 4 as a whole. Like people felt like it was like, oh, show fell off, it got boring. You know what I mean? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It definitely it I think is a really good mirror of going from like the childhood understanding of how the world works to being an adult.
Yeah.
Like they go from having a very sort of limited view of the world, and then they have to see like it's not a mistake that they're on that island.
Yeah.
Like this thing goes back 2,000 years,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
living in the sort of remnants of the
Yeah.
karma of people who they don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Like they're literally, and so it's like waking up to that,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a spiritual awakening because you
Yeah.
really just awaken to the totality of the situation. And
Yeah.
I know that like people who I always talk about this is like for each sort of awakening you have to like kind of new information, like the
Yeah.
bigger your world gets, the easier it is to become like enraged. And most people meet that with like severe rage.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, like what's the who's the fucking quote? To be a black man in
Yeah.
America, that's like
James Baldwin.
slightly
Yeah.
James Baldwin, like it is to be like almost in a constant state of rage. Is like the temptation is there when you learn the world is that big,
Yeah.
and then you have to start to deal with like how you're going to move within that and make that choice.
Yeah.
And you really start. That's when you see the characters like it sucks because it's like you see all of these characters make this choice, but it you're deeply connected to the fact that so much of this choice that they were making was out of their hands, and it feels disempowering a lot of the time to watch because you're just like,
Yeah.
what the fuck else were they gonna do at this point? Like it's wild. Anyways,
Yeah, yeah. So I think you're kind of getting to a lot of different things here that I think is interesting. You know what I mean? I think you're getting at the crux of the story is like, did Eren do anything wrong? Did they have a choice? But also in the interim, you're talking about this experience of like, not only as a viewer being thrust into this world, but also Eren, also Sasha, also Hanji being thrown into Marley and then seeing how this other world, niggas is trying ice cream for the first time. These motherfuckers was like thrown back in time, you know what I mean? Kept back in time because of the king wanted to take them away, you know what I mean? And erase all their memories, right? Everyone's memories. So they've been essentially away from the rest of the world during this whole time, you know what I mean? And I do think that is an interesting dynamic, especially considering like how as the viewer, you were only shown the Paradise Islands version of the story. You know what I mean? Like for the most majority, like that's all you saw. You know what I mean? So I think as Eren, as Hanji, as everyone else is kind of coming into the rest of the world, so are we at the same time. You know what I mean? And I think we also have those natural inclinations of being like protective of the people that we know. Like, I don't know the rest of these niggas. You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck is Gabby? Fuck Gabby. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
I
my
love
Gabby.
God,
God,
I'm not
let's
gonna
not
lie.
Gabby's
get
the
started
best.
on
How
Gabby.
Bro, I
dare
ain't
you?
gonna lie, bro. I look back on this and cringe now. I'm gonna be honest, but when that song was, there was a song that came out when the Attack on Titan was airing, as it was airing, and it was like, fuck Gabby, and it was like,
How dare
Eren
you?
ain't did nothing wrong.
Oh my God.
Eren ain't did nothing wrong, and that nigga, I was in that motherfucker. I at this point didn't read the manga yet. I'm sick of that bitch too.
Wow.
Yeah, fuck Gabby.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm hyped as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
How dare they?
Yeah, and I thought this shit was lit. And people talking in my comments like, bro, you guys are fucking morons. I'm like, how could anybody not be on Eren's side? You know what I mean? They declared
Really?
war. This is what I initially thought. Like before finishing the whole thing, I'm like, how can no one not be on Eren's side? And then
Yeah.
I was like, fuck Gabby. She killed Sasha.
That's
She
where
got to
I'm
get her
at
look
now.
back. You know what I mean? That's where you're at now. That's interesting. I love that. So can you explain to me your thinking from that point of view right now? I think it's good though. I think it's solid. I think it's great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So can you?
I'm stuck on the time loop thing, so I just.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little
Okay,
bit?
so
Oh, go ahead.
for me, I
Yeah.
would say that's kind of where I ended up
Yeah.
until I got to the part where Eren and Armin start talking.
Really?
Then
Okay.
I think that was when it switched for me. Like
Yeah.
then it started to make the gears started to shift a little bit, but I was still like, I wouldn't say that like Eren did nothing wrong, but I was
Yeah.
always more, and I think even on Twitter, like I was more so saying like, did he even have a choice? Like the question
Yeah.
is more of like free will at this point
Yeah.
because of him being stuck in that time loop. But yeah, I don't know.
I think. I mean, I was a big proponent of the time loop theory of like, and it adds on to it, and it's like Eren had tried 3 different times or whatever, and it's like this whole thing where it's like the first time he tried, it was the manga. The second time he tried, it was in the anime, and they're gonna do an extra ending at the very end where it's like him the third time, him trying to like change the course of history, right? And I don't know how I feel about that now, and as I've kind of watched it a couple more times and kind of like sat with it a little bit more. But I do want to ask you, so that you came to that conclusion that like, something's not right here. What were your thoughts when they were showing Gabby, right? And they showed her go to Paradise, right? And she rolling her eyes. I love it. I love it. And she went to Paradise and she saw met Sasha's parents, right? And then there she discovered like the true history of what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And like basically that Marley was it was Eldia at first who enslaved Marley with using the power of the Titans, right? They did that for quite some time, right? Marley fights back. There's wars. The king of Eldia decides to go off into Paradise Island to kind of like do his own thing. But through Gabby's eyes, she's kind of learning that it's like bigger picture than this. And I think the show is trying to guide you through this. You know what I mean? And I call it like the test of Attack on Titan, right? It's like how susceptible are people to propaganda given their own perspective? You know what I'm saying? And this is like me too. When I first watched the show, I was like, fuck Gabby. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think people hear that and they immediately think, oh, bro, you're being elitist, bro. And it's like, first of all, I fell for it too, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what makes it so great is that like you can kind of see that this will affect you. And like nobody is immune to propaganda, bro. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? But the way the story was told through Eren's perspective, I think it automatically works as propaganda and shows you like one side of the story. And then when you introduce to the other side of the story, you're already so emotionally invested in this thing. It's like, I ain't even trying to hear all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
You know
propaganda.
what I mean?
Wow.
And I think that's, I think,
Childhood is propaganda.
yeah, I think that's what makes this show so beautiful. Like a lot of people say that like it's an inherently right wing, but I think it's like not at all. I think it's quite opposite the right wing perspective. You know what I mean? I think it's ultimately a cautionary tale of what happens.
Literally telling you not to do
Yeah, literally. But nonetheless, they got t-shirts with Eren didn't do nothing wrong on it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's interesting in that regard. Since we're here now, and I feel like you cannot not talk about this as someone who just like watched the show. I saw a post from David actually bringing receipts to the pod now, y'all. David, can you tell us a little bit about the post you posted? And I just want to hear your perspective on it.
So the post I posted was at the point of Attack on Titan isn't whether or not Eren was like the hero or the villain or good or bad. The point is that we all essentially, I don't even remember what I said. Hold up 1 second.
I think you said that it wasn't about, and this is how nigga, I watched it 3 times. It basically it wasn't about if Eren did anything wrong. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, to watch
it
it.
Isn't whether or not Eren was a good or bad person. The point is that we are all Eren Yeager.
The
point is that you meaningfully look at what you're willing to sacrifice for the people that you love. Really.
Oh, okay. Got that. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Can you just like explain your perspective of that? And it's like, I hope you don't feel like I'm like coming at you like argumentative at all, but like, could you just explain your perspective on that a little bit?
Honestly, I feel incredibly picked on. I'm probably gonna have to talk to you about it after.
Look at the nigga trying to make sure everybody's happy and complete.
I appreciate it. No, I feel seen.
Okay, man. All right.
This is great. I think my initial the internet flattens things, and you can't really
100%.
Can't do anything. So annoying because I think what we're actually talking about is the sort of nature of the human condition.
Yeah.
And that's really what I was pointing to is that like, just like when you kind of awaken to the sort of workings of the world from being a kid, things change, you get context that you didn't know you had. I think what we're presented with Attack on Titan is a reflection of where we are psychologically, but also a choice.
Yeah.
Right? In a world that kind of seems choiceless, in the sense that what I was trying to get at is that I think we're all very propagandized into sort of everything. And I think that a lot of the time, the reason we do things, the core reason we do things are for the people around us that we give a shit about.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of a lot of the time the underlying aspect of the thing. And I really just wanted to draw attention to the awareness that like out and proud, out and front facing, internet facing, life facing, a lot of the time, we are like these superheroes who like rush to make the correct moral decision. Like I will sit down and I will calculate exactly how many people will, when this happens, I would never, ever like not recycle or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got to be real about this. I would do some wild shit for just my wife.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like, Izzy had a kid. She would wild shit.
I would write about the whole world.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Like, straight
just we gotta be real about that. And like, I just think that was kind of the impetus behind that post. But I do think, just in the regards of the entire discussion about Eren Yeager, I think the idea of discussing him as a hero or a villain is reductive because those terms are consistently used to justify horrendous things, right? The best things we've ever done, like the most horrible things we've ever done have been done by people who thought they were doing the right thing. Most of the time, they think they're on the side of right. And a lot of the time, they have enough people on their side who agree with them to say, yeah, they were right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's how a lot of people are pulling the shit off. And so my point was really to point at the fanaticism of those ideologies.
Yeah.
Right? And how I think it's more helpful to look to the consequences of these actions
Yeah.
as they are without our judgments about who the fucking hero and who the villain is. And I think that's what adulthood is.
Yeah.
I don't need to turn you into a villain to, I don't know, like punch you in the face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of the time it's like an action reaction thing. There's so many other that those labels make us feel good because I can point to that and say, okay, in the future, if this thing's happen, this might be a villain, right? It's just our sort of mammalian pattern recognition, survival instinct being like, all right, I got to be able to logically quantify this is what good looks like. This is what bad looks like.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a certain point, like as we grow up, that those things become incredibly limiting as far as the judgments about the world. And really, that's what I was trying to point to, is that like the ability to go beyond that, I think is the point. Not go beyond, but recognize the usefulness of those things, but simultaneously recognizing the limitation. And in there lies the choice that we have.
Yeah. I think
that's all I was trying to say.
Yeah. I think when I initially watched the video, I thought to myself, like I agree and disagree with this post. You know what I'm saying? And I agree. One thing you said, I do think that the internet is just naturally flattening. Like you're not going to be able to give out a fully 30-page thesis on the ins and outs of this thing, right? So I want to acknowledge that first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like, or what? Like people who come all the time, like, bro, you didn't include this in your 1 minute and 30-second analysis. Therefore, you lack the understanding clearly to assess whether Eren did wrong or right. You know what I'm saying? So like, I definitely want to be that person, but I do agree. Like I think that people, and I think there's like a macro and like a micro way to look at this. Like, so like from the way I look at this is like, we're talking about on an individual level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're on a spiritual level, like we're thinking like how the consciousness, the ego, like all these things, right? That makes sense. It's like, why am I trying to overwhelmingly judge this person who grew up in a life full of trauma, right? Every waking moment of his like childhood, like past, since the Titans broke his wall, was surrounded in death and massacre and famine and XYZ. Like this nigga Eren had a horrible fucking life. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves in blaming, like you said, in individual and not the system at play. You know what I mean? Not the material conditions that create these kind of people that do these horrible things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, obviously that's where we agree on the post. It's like, bro, what are we talking about, bro? Like this, Eren made a decision based upon, various factors, right? Multiple things, right? He had the mind of the Paradise people in mind, right? He had his own trauma that, crazily enough, that he sent back. He traumatized himself on purpose to ensure that he would do the rumbling. Like he sent the Titan to eat his own mom, which was the catalyst. And if you look throughout the anime, like there's a point in season 1, right, where he's fought to fight Annie, and this happens a lot. Like anytime Eren's going through some shit and he's about to fight somebody, that scene of his mother being eaten plays. Like they do like a flash forward. You know what I mean? And it's like right when the rebelling's about to happen in season 4 as well, and they're about to go crush Marley. That scene of the Titan, eating his mom plays in his mind. You know what I'm saying? And so like, clearly there's an effect here. And at this time, I don't think Eren is fully conscious of the fact that he's actually the person that sent that Titan to eat his mom. But the point is like that trauma that he experienced is guiding him to an outcome that he wanted to happen. You know what I'm saying? And I think that those same conditions in real life often happen to people, and we sit back on a high horse and we judge them. You know what I mean? Like we judge them for their violence. You know what I'm saying? Etc. Like, and I want to be clear about this. This is not me condoning what Eren did. You know what I'm saying? Because he obviously took it way farther than he needed to take it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm looking at Marley, and I'm like, nigga, you could have destroyed Marley. You could have destroyed the government. And I want to go to you, Izzy, after this, right? You could have destroyed Marley. You got your lick back, nigga. The entire world already hated Marley, right? They already, because Marley had been doing a bunch of horrible shit to the rest of the world, using the power of the Titans, right? Get your lick back. You know what I'm saying? Violence in the hands of the oppressed as a tool of like getting their liberation is, in my eyes, is justified. You know what I'm saying? But when you take it further than that, you know what I'm saying? And I think what the show intentionally does is take it further than that to show how oppressed people can become oppressors if they are guided by their own trauma. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of what the show gets at a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And Izzy, I want to shoot it to you because I want to give you a platform to speak as well. And also, you was making some faces, and I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, so first of all, I want to go back to the Gabby thing. I don't hate Gabby. I actually don't dislike Gabby at all. Gabby just annoys me. That's the only thing. She's just a little annoying.
Yeah.
But when I watched the final season, I was like, she's Eren. Like, she's just like she reminded me so much of Eren because the way that they take everything to the extreme with whatever knowledge they have at the time. You know, like they are like so emotionally charged and so like, oh, like you're my enemy, I hate you and I want all of you to die. You know, like that's how Eren was in the beginning with the Titans. Hate you, I want all the Titans gone. Then it was like Marleyans, like, oh, all y'all gotta go. Then it was like, you know what? Actually, the whole world gotta go. Like, fuck all y'all. Like, I'm done. Because y'all are after the people that I love. And I want them to be able to live a happy life and, you know, da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I felt like Gabby and the Marleyans were kind of, you know, they're there to show the other side and also to show that, like, these, like, there are real people on the other side of things, you know?
Yeah.
Not everybody has to be a casualty either.
Yeah.
So that's just my 2 cents on Gabby. Like, I was obviously, you know, because I was, and I still am, like, I love Eren, you know, for who he is. Like, I'm not gonna say that Eren should have done what he did, but I'm gonna say, like, I do like Eren's character.
Of course,
So
yeah.
when she shot him down, when he was like going to Zeke, and she shot him, I was like, damn. So she's a good shot.
Phase Gabby.
So mad.
They were saying
like,
Phase Gabby.
God damn it, Gabby.
yeah. Like she got a.
I was like, I know why you're doing what you're doing. But like, I felt like they were very important, right?
Yeah.
All of the characters are extremely important, not expendable at all.
Yeah.
What Eren did was, I don't know, I think to David's point, like, what I thought about when all of that was happening was I wasn't even thinking about like anything else other than like, what would I do for the people that I love?
Yeah.
You know, like, what would I do if their safety was at risk? What would I do if my people, you know, like if I had an island of my people and it felt like the whole world's eyes were on us and this one particular group of people are the reason that we're there. But during that speech with Will Tiber, whatever, he was like gathering like the world, it felt. And so at that point I was like, because I kept switching, you know, I was like, Eren has a point. I was like, nah. And then like at that point I was like, oh, y'all gotta go. I'm sorry. Oh, y'all gotta, like, yeah. When, at the speech, that was when I was like, yeah, sorry. Oh, y'all gotta go. Because that's just kind of what I was thinking is like, what are how far are you willing to go for the people that you love and for this population of people to ensure their safety? And like, where are the limits, you know? Like, I think that's like a really big question is like, where should he have probably ended it? It was probably at Marley, you know? That was like my initial thought. And then I saw the speech and I was like, oh,
wow.
Sorry.
So the speech was like, wrap it up, nigga. Everybody gotta die. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. Start the rumbling. Start the rumbling.
Like, but to your point, Izzy, like, I think that, I don't think they had already kind of been painted as monsters, so I feel like they would have been. Everybody else would have gained up on them, right?
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So I was like,
Yeah.
I obviously am not advocating for genocide.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, man, it's a wrap. He's gonna, rumbling. Where do we start the rumbling?
Rumbling. Music started playing.
I hate that song is catchy.
Yeah.
That seems incorrect, right?
Yeah. It's literally horrible. Yeah. It's interesting that you guys bring up the Tiber situation because I was actually just talking about one of my friends with this. So like the way after watching it back a couple of times, like Tiber knew what he was doing in that moment. Like he was setting a trap for Eren because he knew he knew that people would think that the what was it the Titan? What kind of Titan was in him? Warhammer Titan, I think. He knew that everyone would assume that William Tiber had the Warhammer Titan inside of him. You know what I mean? So he kind of, as you said, like he kind of set a trap for Eren. Really, that's what he really wanted. He wanted to use this point to kind of like do exactly what I think everybody else thought like should happen after that. Like people's initial reaction is like, okay, Eren got to get his lick back. They declared war. You know what I'm saying? But Tiber knew he painted them as a devil, and then on purpose laid a trap for Eren to confirm that beliefs to the rest of the world. He not only invited world leaders from all over the world, but he also invited the press. You know what I'm saying? So that again, they could go back home and then start this propaganda turn. And I think, a lot of people look at Eren as like, he waited. Guys, he waited. Chill, guys. Look, Eren didn't want to do it. He waited. But I think after we've seen what Eren believes and how he thinks, I think Eren wanted that to happen. He wanted that to happen because he wanted to do the rumbling. He always wanted to do the rumbling. You know what I mean? So like, I think there's definitely a conversation about like trauma and also doing things for the people you love. But I think Eren also just wanted to do the rumbling because in his eyes, like he wanted the world to be as simple as it was when he was a kid and he was imagining the world outside the walls, right? There's a scene where in the manga, I think they showed this in the anime as well, where it's like he's taking Armin all across the world to see all the things he wanted to see and imagine the world. You know what I mean? And in the scene when they're in like the sunken place where there's blood everywhere, he's like, he tells Armin straight up, like, I wanted to do it to see this sight. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I wanted to watch the world burn.
Yeah. And he's like, I didn't do it. That was a lie. I didn't do it for my friends. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do it for my friends. I did it because I wanted to watch the world burn. And I think that the show does a really good job of showing how Eren is one, like driven by this sense of like trauma. You know what I mean? Like when he's in that freedom scene and throughout when he's shown in paths, he's shown as a child, you know, and when people are traumatized, they're stuck to the level of where they were traumatized at. You know what I mean? Emotionally. You know what I mean? So I think that was like kind of symbolic in that sense of like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, this is what Eren, this is, and then you have all the scenes where he's retching back to this moment, you know what I'm saying? Of like, as he's fighting Annie, as he's doing the rumble, it's coming from this place, you know what I'm saying? I've been reading, because I'm going to get my teacher's credential right now. And I'm kind of going through like different, like teaching different kind of people, you know what I mean? And one of our classes kind of focused on like trauma-informed teaching, you know what I mean? So it's like, on a personal level, like watching Eren, like it just reminded me in the book, in the story or in my studies, is like people cannot learn while they're experiencing trauma. They literally cannot learn. Like if there is an active sense of trauma being had, they cannot learn. And I can only imagine time after time of him, experiencing the loss of his friends, experiencing this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like he is constantly stuck in this place. You know what I mean? Getting to the outside of the world that he thought was going to be liberating, that he thought was like this place of freedom that he had always longed for. He was born in this cage, and then finding out that there's more cages on the outside. That his people are locked in cages in concentration camps in Marleyan. That there is no freedom in this world. So he's like, fuck it. I'm gonna mark everybody. And I think he always wanted to do that. He always wanted to do that. And I think that his friends and stuff kind of played a part, but ultimately, like even his friends died. You know, like Hanji died. Sasha died. You know what I mean? And he admits this, like this, this path that I've chosen is not the one that's going to save my friends. It's just the one that I get to destroy the rest of the world, and I get to finally be quote unquote free. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that is a direct misquote. I don't know about that last little bit, but I do see.
No,
What
no. What's a misquote?
I don't know what the quote
it's
is.
not direct word for word, but that's essentially what he's saying. He's like, my friends died, bro. Like this is not the path that I would have wanted. You know what I mean? This is not the path that was going to save my friends. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day,
now there are Straw Hat members, and then there is Zoro, Sanji, and
so you're saying
Zoro,
you're saying
Sanji, and
Hanji
Nami.
ain't one of them? You saying Hanji ain't one of them?
I'm saying if Eren had to sacrifice every single one of them for Armin and Mikasa, he fucking would, because they're the only family he has left. And I definitely think he would have I think I did a follow-up video where this person was like, no, he started it because of this. This was their theory. My point is, both of these things live inside of humans at the same time, all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I look at that moment as a moment of adult honesty. Like, no, this like hatred thing inside of me, no, that shit is real. Like, I will take responsibility. The part of me really wanted to fuck some shit up. That's a real thing, right? That's not, I think it because of the when we extract an emotion or an idea about why we do things from somebody, from a situation, and we hold it in the sort of binary of our minds, it's easy to turn it around, right? I can turn it around and say, well, here's the thing that it was. And when we disconnect it from like kind of life, but life is complex. Humans are complex, right? You have 17 different motivations going on right now in your head.
That's true.
Currently.
That's true. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think these things can also be true, right? I definitely want to have the best situation for my friends and family, but also, fuck y'all. Y'all fuck me up, man. Like, this shit is terrible. I obviously am in a cycle of continued violence. I am literally the tip of that violence. You're welcome. I'm here, right? So to a degree, he is on that journey. I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Because I saw a video by a guy, because I was trying to research this, and this dude was saying, he was breaking down how whether or not Eren was evil. And I admittedly did not finish the video. I promise I will. But he has this one theory that the entirety of Attack on Titan was the will of Ymir.
Oh, it was 1000%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it was like Ymir going through like all these timelines and like being like, well, the point they made was essentially like what they wanted to do was get rid of the Titan power and like break everybody from that like initial curse.
Yeah.
And this is the only way through that Ymir could think of. And when I saw that, I was like, well, damn, like it sucks because it feels like even more railroady for Eren. We've gone beyond just the material conditions. You are literally, there's an energy that has decided that this is all you can do.
Yeah.
And it feels like there's like no waiver for like, a part of this guy's theory was also that Ymir had to have Eren Yeager show up. Like, they needed somebody with the same kind of desires and will. And so they drew these parallel between Eren's life and Ymir's life and how they both like came up and wanted to like whatever. And so Eren showing up could finally like put her plan in action. And that's when they ended up doing, that's how they ended up on the rumbling. I feel like people could look at that and be like, oh, they're giving Eren an excuse. It's like, nah, it's like they went out of their way to show you that like this was also his will. Like, the only reason that somebody would be able to do that is if they wanted to be that person to do that, which I think also speaks to, you know, Eren both having a choice and not having a choice at the same fucking time, which is kind of a mind fuck.
No, I think, and Izzy, I want to give you a chance to interject here if you want to say something, but if not, I mean, I am one. I agree and disagree with that theory. You're not seeing a theme here. It's like, yes. I agree in the sense that like you said something specific. It's beyond the material conditions, right? And that's something that stuck out in my mind because yes, Eren was driven on a personal level. Yes, he was also driven by himself, who sent that Titan to eat his mom through the founding power, you know what I mean? As we see Titans, you know, memories can go backwards and forwards, you know what I mean? As it's on past, it's a spectrum,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then also Ymir plays a vital role. The starting of the series is 2,000 years from you to 2,000 years. There's clearly a connection between Ymir and Eren, right? I guess where I see it a little bit differently is that Aaron's or Ymir was definitely living through Eren. You know what I mean? She was basically trying to get freedom. You know what I'm saying? Her will for freedom. This is why her and Eren was able to talk her out of the power of the royal family. You know what I mean? Where they had normally had complete power over the will of the Titans. And Eren came around her shoulder, and for the first time in the series, you see her cry, and then that's when the power of the rumbling is unleashed. What I'm seeing here is that Ymir's trauma, because of how she grew up, right, is being passed down through the Freedom Titan, in a sense, right? Because throughout history, the Freedom Titan was a Titan that always fought for freedom, no matter what. It had an urge. They said this. You know what I mean? So, and I don't think Ymir was like omniscient in this point of view of like her being able to. This is the only way to find the end the curse. I see her and Eren not as mirrors, but they are similar, right? But I see her, Ymir, and Mikasa as similars. Like, and just walk with me here, because I feel like I'm talking for a long time, but walk with me here, right?
Yeah.
Ymir,
I was gonna say it's more Mikasa than Eren, personally.
Yeah.
I do want to add before you go. That was in his video. I did not add that. I apologize. I'm sorry, sir.
No, it's all good. We don't even know him, but we don't even know who you talking about. You know what I'm saying? You good, Unc? Let me stop. I threw that Unc in there. That was crazy.
Superman.
But Mikasa and Ymir both had traumatic situations in their lives where they also became of use to someone who was and this is going to be a reductive, and this might be a little bit mean, but like they both were at use and at service to a man that was a narcissist. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna just say that right there, because like this is somebody told me in my comment section the other day, Mikasa is kill your narcissist boyfriend propaganda. I just started laughing. You know what I'm saying? But both Ymir and
not a narcissist.
Both not opposed to the. Hey man, I'm gonna look the other way. I'm
like, wait.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, a lot of motherfuckers who are narcissists and empowered a lot of bad shit could have stopped if somebody just pew them. But nonetheless, like Mikasa was a slave, and the show talks about a slavery. So I'm going to use a slave sense. Like everyone's a slave to something, right? Eren was a slave to freedom, right? Kenny was a slave to this, whatever, right? So Ymir was to the king of Eldia, who used her to conquer over Marley as the Titan powers to enslave the Marleyans, right? As Mikasa was to Eren, in a sense that like both of them Mikasa and Ymir had a traumatic event that they became useful to someone, right? And this I think initially I thought it was like a kind of like a Stockholm syndrome thing, but I think it's because they wanted love. You know what I mean? Ymir grew up a slave, right? She had never been loved before. It to the point where she was defending the king of Eldia, who was doing a mass genocide, mass enslavement of the Marleyan people and the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? And there's a scene where she jumps in front of the spear and blocks the spear with her body as Ymir, right? And the king of Eldia is like, I'm going to give you my seed, right? Or this is before that. He's like, I'm going to give you my seed, right? But like the point there is like Ymir is like a slave to this love that she wants so badly, right? And because of that, she's allowed herself to be used as a tool for the king of Eldia, right? And Mikasa in the same way, when Eren was and Mikasa was getting attacked, right? They killed Mikasa's mom, right? And Eren's about to die. Mikasa in that moment, and this is perfect because they talk about this, this is the Ackerman thing even real, right? Or was it just like a trauma response where she was able to hop into gear, fight or flight sense and kill the guy, right? And after this, she has this bond with Eren. Like she's basically bonded her trauma to the sense of like, if I can serve people, then I will have love. Because she grew up, her mom just died, you know what I mean? So this is like a formative thing in her life. You see what I'm saying? So like, I think in those sense, Ymir and Mikasa are both parallels. And then when Mikasa goes to kill Eren, right? If you look in the back of the scene, like in the anime, in the manga, Ymir is just watching this happen. You know what I mean? So I think, in my view, it's like Ymir saw that Mikasa was able to overcome something that she could not overcome. She could not kill the king of Eldia, even though she had all this power, right? She could not kill the king of Eldia, who would then start a genocidal war against the world, including Marley. And all this violence comes from that. They had countless wars after that. But she watched as Mikasa killed the man that she loved, the person that was giving her that sense of love in her life. You know what I mean? And then that's when the Titan curse ends. You know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers in my comments like, bro, you're reaching. Nigga, the Titan curse ended right after that. Ymir's curse was broken after that. The Titan power was gone. She was able to let go. So I'm almost seeing Ymir, her, her will to keep on is her playing out her trauma over time and creating new Titans and doing all this shit, right, in the past. And then when Mikasa finally shows her that there's a way to overcome that need for love and validation from someone horrible, you know what I'm saying? She's finally able to be free and break the curse. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that?
Eren's not horrible. I'm just kidding.
Eren ain't did nothing wrong.
I'm literally yeah. I'm literally defending Eren with all I have. That's my boy. Sorry, I'm gonna rock with him.
Yeah.
Sorry, my genocidal maniac. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh my god, fuck suicidal maniac.
Yeah.
Genocidal maniac.
Yeah, he's literally a madman. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to say that I agree with that. That's how I felt. Like I felt like Mikasa mirrored Ymir a lot.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what Ymir was like hoping for at some point that she would find is like somebody to help her break curse, and it wasn't necessarily going to be Eren.
Yeah.
But but you did need Eren because then you have Mikasa. You know, like you needed an Eren that because he's the other half of that whole relationship.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like one part that I got stuck on that I was really confused on, and it like, which is why I'm so wishy-washy about how I feel about things, is like I could have sworn there was a part in the last season where they're talking about the history of Eldia and Marley and everything like that.
Yeah.
And they were saying that like part of the history was corrupted because it was meant to make the Eldians look far worse than what actually happened.
Yeah.
And so, because I remember distinctly thinking like, oh, like that's like historical revisionism, you know? Like I remember thinking that, and then I was like, is this history even true? Like that's where I got stuck at. Was is this history even true? It's like what is the truth now? Because like everything that you're being told, because it justified why they were doing that to the Eldians, you know? So I was like, that's where I am still confused on, because when people talk about King Fritz and everything like that, I'm like, okay, yes. And I think I know that because Ymir is there. But then I'm also like, but then what exactly happened then? Because the way Marleyans were telling it is like, I don't know that I trust that. You know? So like
100%. Yeah. And I think that's a great question, because there's a quote out there that I can't remember, but it's like, it's just like when truth becomes, a lie becomes the enemy of peace. Something eloquent. It's like, we watched it on Andor. The girl gave a speech, right? I forgot what the quote is, but somebody type it in the comments, right? But yeah, I think that history and propaganda definitely played a point of like what actually happened. I think what the show sets out as to be what is fundamentally true is that King of Eldia did genocide and enslave. There were wars fought with the powers of the Titan, and people could not like at the time. Marley had no way of defeating that. You know what I'm saying? They had absolutely no way. And they did get genocided, right? They did get destroyed, etc. Right? Over time, Marley did fight back, and when they got in power, they did make it seem like all aliens were evil, all aliens were bad. You know what I mean? They're gonna just come and eat you for no reason. Like these are the and this is where it gets into this like propaganda. Like these motherfuckers are island devils, or they're devils, and they must be contained. You know what I mean? I think that's where kind of the manipulation of history came from. But I think the show sets out that there was a back and forth throughout history. You know what I'm saying? Which is
Okay.
it started with the Eldians, right? And King Fritz, he oppressed the Marleyans. That did happen, but because, and this is kind of gets into kind of like the fascist tendencies of, and you said something recently on your Twitter that I was like, that was said perfectly, right? Izzy, you were talking about exclusionary nationalism, right? As a facet of fascism, right? Eldia had it first, then they did it to Marley, and then Marley became up in power. They didn't recognize the humanity in the Eldian people. They said, nah, fuck that, nigga. It's us versus them. You know what I mean? It's us versus them. They gotta die, and we're not gonna be true. We're not gonna recognize their humanity and give them any grace and say that some people helped us. Because keep in mind, even William Tybur, he was an Eldian, but he helped. Like the lie is that he helped basically kill King Fritz, right? And that's why he basically has like power with them. You know what I mean? And that's why he's allowed to not be in cages and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But King Fritz left of his own will, you know what I mean? And went to the island and erased everyone's memory. So even Eldia was like, doing propaganda and history shit, you know what I'm saying? But what I was gonna say is like, I think what the show is trying to paint out through like a historical analysis is that, you know, the cycle of violence is going to continue. You know what I mean? Because people have these tendencies to like exclude the humanity of other different people on the basis of their own protection, maybe at first, but then it quickly gets out of hand. You know what I mean? It quickly turns into everyone else is bad. It's only us versus them. You know what I'm saying? And I think what the show is trying to tell you is that like this is not the way forward. What the way forward is like through Eren and his friends and all the generals who are able to like come together, that ragtag team that destroyed Eren, is that like when like conflict is inevitable, but if people can see past the propaganda, see past and recognize the humanity in other people, they can come. We can find a way to peace. You know what I'm saying? And this to me what makes the show such a tragedy because Eren completely destroys that chance of peace. And it's debated if Eren had a choice. I think Eren had a clear choice. Like the 50.
Wait, what do you mean he destroys the chance of peace?
He destroys everyone. He kills 80% of the world. Armin's talking to him at the end, and he's like, "Bro, you have destroyed our chance for proving that like people can come together and work because you've killed 80% of the world, and those 20% of people, they're gonna remember Eren and the Eldian people in the same way that Marley remembers Eldia, and Eldia remembers Marley. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're continuing the cycle." And not giving people a chance to see past this. You know what I'm saying?
So I think the idea behind the way things worked out was that Eren turned his friends into heroes, first and foremost.
Yeah.
So he irrevocably connected the citizens of Paradis to like this heroic deed, but also he got rid of the Titan power. And so
I mean, that wasn't intentional, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. But those two things essentially, I guess back to the other fucking weird ass theory that it's like if it was her plan, right? I think that's how this person presented it too.
Yeah.
It was like it was her plan to be like, I got to get rid of Titan power and I got to figure out a way that people aren't going to retaliate because she wanted to keep the people alive while also stopping a thing. So anyways, and so the idea of doing both of those things, having both of those things did, at least for a little bit, kind of pause the sort of cycle of violence. Obviously, it's going to continue eventually, which I think is kind of part of the humanity of Attack on Titan. But it did offer a seemingly, I mean, from the way I read it, a reprieve to people in that regard for a little bit because they essentially all came together and to stop that, to stop the evil that was Eren Yeager while getting rid of the threat of Eren Yeager or people like him showing up ever again. And also having somebody, like having your best friend kill you is, the most boss move you could ever do.
Yeah. I think that how do I say this? I don't think that the cycle of violence was stopped. You know what I mean? I do think there was a reprieve there, but that's
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was like, it's never gonna stop. Like, right? Like,
well, I think the show is telling you that it can stop if we work to actively stop it and stop looking at like this kind of like tribal-esque wars between, this nationalist, super nationalist approach. You know what I mean? And I think that ultimately, like, what happens in Paradise and the reason why it's delayed is because 80% of the world is completely flattened, right? They're essentially getting pushed back in time. You know what I mean? Where now Eldia is this new place of like this center of technology. They're essentially going to be the ones to lead the world into this next echelon. Similar to how Marley was in that position prior with the power of the Titans, right? So even though the power of the Titans is gone, Eldia has a head start, right? And it's like, and the reason, like, and it's like, I want to be clear about this because, like, I think what the show is clearly saying is that, like, Eren essentially kind of plays into like these fascist ideals, this hyper nationalism, this my people matter, your people don't kind of thing. It's like, I'm gonna stomp on every single other oppressed person in the world. Fuck all them. You know what I'm saying? Even though that they are suffering like me, fuck all them. You know what I'm saying? Because like at the end of the show, like when they're talking about this shit, the Jaegerists were the people that were in power. You know what I mean? And we saw the Jaegerists. These are not the best batch of people. Like these people were like, you could almost equate them to Nazis. You know what I mean? Like that's essentially what they were. You know what I mean? They were hyper nationalists, exclusionary to the rest of the world. Fuck everybody, kill everybody, right? And they're the people that are coming in. And at the end of the show, you see them marching, and they're marching like fucking Nazis. Like they're literally doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I think what happened is they got a reprieve just like before, right? When Marley took over and Paradise went to the island, right? Marley's in power for a while. My people are good. But I think what ultimately happened is they got bombed too because people were remembering history not through the eyes of Eren Yeager and his intention, right, for his friends, but through the eyes of their version of history, which when Eren Yeager sent the rumbling to destroy everyone. So they're like, fuck, okay, yeah, some of them were good, you know what I mean? Just like how Marley erased history and said all these Eldians were bad, right? Fuck all that. They're gonna tell history that benefits them in their exclusionary mindset. You know what I mean? These motherfuckers are devils and they killed 80% of the world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the story that humanity is hearing, similar to before, where it was Eldia versus Marley. And then Marley was the big bad in the world. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's like the cycle will just keep going. It's just switching back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's because Eren chose to do what he did. You know what I mean? And I think Ramsey is like a perfect example of this, is like how Eren notices that there are other oppressed people in the world that don't contribute to the rest of the world governments, that are not privy to, their decisions on war making. Like Ramsey's he's an immigrant to Marley because Marley had imperialized somebody else's country, and those people had came to Marley seeking refuge. And granted, he cries while he do this, but in the same breath, he stomps Ramsey to death. Like this is like the equivalent of somebody like who was once an oppressed. And this is this is like true to every fascist people. Like they always have a victim story. You know what I mean? Whether it's true or not, they're going to use that story to fuel genocide and domination, no matter what, whether it's true or not. Look what's happening, with Zionism right now. They're using this narrative of like, oh, we need to protect the world, or we need to protect ourselves from the world. And what are they doing to other oppressed people? Genociding them. You know what I'm saying? So like when I'm watching Eren is like having this talk with Ramsey and he's crying, I'm like, this is the second time I watched it. I'm like, this is sick. These are like crocodile tears. You're sitting and eating with these people that are oppressed, that that they were about to cut Ramsey's hand off just because he's not from there, right? And you want to come back and step on them and do the same thing to millions of other people just like himself, right? That the Titan came and ate. You're going to become that exact oppressor to all those people too. You see what I'm saying? I feel like
I thought he was crying because he couldn't stop himself.
Yeah, he was crying
at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's because he didn't want to stop himself. Because in his mind, he had already made up the ending of what it had to be. You know what I'm saying?
God, see, and then it's that fucking time move shit that throws me off. But like, so when I was watching it, and I've only seen the fourth season once, so if I watch it again, I'll probably pick up more.
Mhm.
But when I was watching it, I was like, okay, so at this point, he's already made the decision that he's going to do this, but he's already tried to stop it a few times and it hasn't worked. And so he knows that it's going to like reset. Like it's
Oh, he
just
said
going to
that. I
keep.
forgot about that.
Yeah, like he said it either at that point or later on, but I remember he said it like I tried different ways and no other way was working, like no matter what, because that was why I got confused on like the whole Eren debate, because I was like, because my whole thing was that like he didn't really have a choice.
Mhm.
And I was like, so many people are saying that like Eren was right or wrong in what he did. And I was like, did he even have a choice at that point? Because he did try to choose differently. And it didn't work. None of them did. But then people were like, well, he had the initial choice. And I was like, well, how does that even happen? Him going back, So that's why I'm like, I just don't like time loops. But that's what I thought about going to Ramsey was like, damn, like I wish I was smarter. And he says it later when he's talking to Armin too, that he was he's not a strategist. He's not Armin. He's not an Irwin. He couldn't have, he didn't think of a lot of other possibilities. Like he was like, I'm stupid. He literally says it like this all happened because I'm stupid.
And I want to make sure that they added that scene in from the manga, because so many people were condoning what Eren did in the manga. That's not even in the manga. He added that scene in so that people could be extra sure about what he was saying. I don't want to cut you off, but continue.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't read the manga, so I didn't. I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, okay, so like this is happening, like like he feels really bad because it's like I'm seeing that there's so much more to the world than what I thought and what I initially thought I wanted, and like because I couldn't think of anything else, this is the path that we're already going down, and like I can't even like it's just gonna keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going until like Mikasa kills him and stuff like that. But like that's how I see it, and that's what I think of whenever I think of anything with Eren. I'm always like, how much of a choice did he have? Because we didn't see all of the different timelines where he was choosing anything different. We only see this one where it finally ends everything. But he's been through so many other timelines at this point. That like it's just kind of like, damn.
Yeah. I totally get that perspective.
It's so tragic to me. But yeah, I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a super like a Jaeger. Also, I didn't know the term Jaegerist was actually in the anime. I thought that was an anime community thing. I thought because I just saw the final season, right? So back then when everybody was having these talks when the final season had come out and stuff, and people were saying like the term Jaegerist, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, oh, that's a cool term, And and then I watched it and I was like, oh. I was like, oh.
They actually started
a
Reddit for it, and it was just a bunch of, I mean, I hate to be mean, but like the Reddit was like a bunch of white supremacists. And like they were just like, yeah, Jaegerists, you know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it was the whole Reddit. I think they ended up shutting the Reddit down because they were just finding ways to like justify like genocide or whatever. You know what I mean? But so like I totally understand like on one hand where it's like you're like, I'm just empathizing with this person. He didn't have any other way forward. But I think we saw.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, again, I don't condone what he did or anything like that. But I'm also just like, if he had been any other person, this probably would not have happened.
100%.
Like
100%. Yeah.
If all of this power would have went to Armin, we probably would have had a very different story because Armin would have probably chosen different. Even with the options that were given. But would have found a way around it. And I feel like Eren kind of, what is that term? Like where you keep yourself closed off.
Yeah.
Like pigeonhole or whatever. Like he just kept himself in, and he has this mindset also that doesn't really, and I think it goes back to what you were saying, like we can't really learn when we're traumatized. Like he couldn't think beyond the trauma. Like he couldn't think beyond any of that, you know? And he admits it in the final season.
Yeah.
So
But can we also, just to your point, look at Eren as like a manifestation of just war though? Like he's a weapon of mass destruction that the world created. Like these energies, Eren didn't create these circumstances. He's the fucking knife at the handle. He gets to choose,
100%.
I guess. But like, imagine us going and like fucking some. Like there are people right now who are fucking things up in the world.
Yeah.
And if like, let me stop. You know what I'm saying? Like,
say it, go ahead.
No,
You know,
the
I'm gonna push you.
ramifications. The ramifications of these things is like you live by the sword, you die by the sword kind of vibe. But it's like obviously something this like catastrophically horrible was coming down the pipeline for these people, right? Like for everybody, Marleyans, Eldons, everybody. Like that's just the world that they existed in. And so, I mean, I'm always on. It's not even an offense. I genuinely, in my experience, you have both free will and none at all.
Yeah.
Like simultaneously. I think that's the human experience. And I think that Eren is like the embodiment of that. Like, because so many factors were coming, just pushing that. I mean, like you said, I mean, he never wasn't at war.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like he was never not born. He was born in a war zone forever.
Yeah.
And so his actions are going to reflect the world that he existed in, which was a fucking war zone.
100%.
That he didn't make, which is crazy. Because it's like, what do you even, he had no chance to stop and process and go, all right, you know what? This is kind of, because even like as fast as he got the information about the Marleyans, he already had to be, like he was already on a clock.
100%.
Like, which is crazy, bro. Like,
it just shows you the momentum of things that can happen. You know what I mean? Like how fast, like
momentum.
Like when I first watched it, when I up into the rumbling, right? I was like, Team Eren, nigga. I'm like, fuck all y'all. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about none of that, nigga. It's Eren or die. That was my whole thing, and I think that's what I love about the show so much because it makes you think. You know what I mean? And it challenges the way that we view and see things. You know what I mean? Because obviously Eren was like. Like this is bigger than Eren, and I think they're showing you that it's like the cycle of war is also mixed with, you know, hyper nationalism. It's also mixed with trauma, you know, of the people who go through war. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately come out and like Izzy said, like you like, even if there is another option, you're seeing the world through this lens. You can't like just because you can see the future doesn't mean you know actively how to change the future. You know what I'm saying? Because you're only dealing with the tools that you have, right? And I think like the show in the show is like almost poetic in the sense of like how throughout the series they constantly say that Eren didn't have to do all this. He didn't have to do all this. He didn't have to do it. Like he could have just stopped at Marleyan. He could have just stopped by destroying. At this point, they didn't have planes, right? He could have just stopped at destroying the world's trade and shipping centers. That would have set them back hundreds of years. You know what I mean? They would have endless time for peace. But like that wasn't enough to him, right? During the episode, it's called the episode title is called A Sound Argument, which I think is like just to further show you how Eren cannot listen to reason. You know what I mean? Like he's not hearing no sound argument. Fuck all that, right? This is when Zeke gives his 50-year plan. And now the plan initially was fake, right? It was really so Zeke can come in and do the eugenics thing that he wanted to do, right? But I think that in its bones, there was a path forward for peace, right? Essentially, Historia would have to have a bunch of kids, right? And they would have to keep practicing the Titan power, right? But it would give them 50 years of time to basically to live, right? And they would do a partial rumbling because upon doing a partial rumbling, like it's like basically like a show of force from any nation. Like any geopolitical nation, once they have like nuclear bombs, immediately becomes treated differently on the world stage. Like niggas cannot fuck with you because you can literally destroy the world, right? And that's what the rumbling was, right? So with power becomes the power to negotiate. With power comes diplomacy. Which power? And Eren saw this, and he was like, even Hanji said it. She said, this is brutal. This is horrible, but I think it might work, right? Even though it's like horrible. You know what I mean? Because not only do we have to like have the Titan thing continue, right? Which to Eren is like, you're gonna keep traumatizing us. You're gonna keep treating us like this. You know what I'm saying? Even though, and even though that thing has been happening throughout history for forever, like since Eldia, right? This has already been happening, right? So, but to Eren, that there's no way that was a path forward for him. Even though it would have brought them reprieve. It would have brought them at least 50 years. And it's like, then you get into the point of like, okay, the rest of the world is caught up technology-wise. They have planes now. Nigga, the Titans developed a flying Titan. You know what I'm saying? They could have fought this off. They had a trade partner. They had the Azumbitos. They had a nuclear power, which basically could destroy the world, right? Which puts them stronger than everybody, right? They also had a resource to trade with the ice burst crystals that are on Paradise Island, right? Now, Azumbitos were not 100% trustworthy, but what nation is in geopolitics, right? There was a way that they could carve forward with this, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't simple. It was complex. It involved risk. It involved, assuming that someone on the outside of the world would see them as human, and Eren didn't want to take that risk. You know what I'm saying? He's like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? But even though people would take that risk, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but he can't see that because his whole life is like this. You know what I'm saying? His whole life is trauma. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's kind of what I pulled from that situation when I say like Eren did have a choice, but he couldn't see it. Like there was a path forward. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, when I think Armin was talking to Eren like before all of that had happened, not in the ending, but and they were reviewing a plan. That was when I was thinking there is another, like, because me, I'm a burn it all type person. So I'm like, whatever, watch the world burn. Whatever, fuck them. But then I was like, okay, maybe there's a little diplomacy we can exercise here. And then again, I was like, nah, fuck them. So I kept going back and forth, but
I mean, same. When I first watched it, I had the same
definitely
opinion.
was.
Yeah.
There definitely was. And I think just back to the point of trauma, like being such a, like, you're seeing it through that lens. So it's like, and then just everything is just going so quickly. Like, you already made the choice before you even realized you made a choice. And at that point, you stuck yourself in that loop. And then, everything was just going to do the same thing because that was the initial choice that you made. So, yeah, I was like, dang. But I also just want to throw out really quickly, because I had seen people talk about it. Zeke's plan was not a good plan.
Not at all.
At all. And I don't know why people are justifying it, but I'm like, this is eugenics.
Literally. Yeah, and there's this whole conversation.
Like literally.
It's like it's a whole conversation of like Eren did nothing wrong. Zeke's plan was better. No, Zeke's plan, like, and it's like this whole like alt-right pipeline of it all. You know what I mean? It's like people think you're choosing between genocide and eugenics, and you don't think you're on the right wing pipeline. You know what I'm saying? Those are your two options, right? And it's like these are your only choices, and you think that's the way to view the world. This is literally what super nationalist, fascist countries come to the conclusion. How do we kill them? Do we genocide them or do we eugenics them? You know what I'm saying? And I think the show goes out of its way to show you that both Eren and Zeke's plan were both symptomatic of their own trauma. Like we know Eren, right? He got the sheer violence of the rumbling is directly mirrors those people coming to his village and stomping all over them. But Zeke as well, right? Zeke he grew up in Marleyan under oppression, right? His parents put on him this burden of like carrying on the will of his people, right? That he never consented to, right? So he was born into this world, right? And he automatically was given this burden of like being this freedom fighter, being this person that, has to save the world, carry it on for your people, right? And as a kid, he, like in the manga, it shows it, like he literally says like, if I had never been born, none of it would be this way. Because he repeatedly, he's going through this thing and he's like, he's facing like the reality is that he can't be this person that his dad wants. There's a guy that even says that, like, if you guys had never been born, none of this would happen. You filthy Eldians, right? Zeke internalizes this, and then he creates a plan that mirrors his own traumatized childhood, right? Where he's basically forcing the people of Eldia to carry this burden without their consent, right? That they must carry on throughout their life and assuring that no one else will be born, right? Isn't like that to me is like not only so poetic, like just showing you how trauma can dictate people's lives. You know what I mean? And like there's in psychology or whatever the fuck the study is, it's like people often create the circumstances for their own trauma to as a way to master it, as a way to overcome it. You know what I'm saying? So like both of Eren and Zeke's plan comes from their childhood trauma, which is like centering around how their dad didn't show up for them in certain ways, right? And then they come up with a plan for the Eldian people that mirrors that same trauma. You know what I'm saying? So like at that point, it's like, and then Ymir is traumatized. You know what I'm saying? She's living out her own trauma, right? And it's like it comes out to this thing where it's like, although I do look at Eren as kind of the villain of the show, right? What I see as that even supersedes him is the question of, you know, the cycle of war, right? The question of how do we as humanity, you know, carve together a better path for people. You know what I'm saying? That is not mauled and lived, that recognizes the humanity of others, that sees past the propaganda of one side or the other. You know what I mean? To come together and together fight off this maybe inherent evil that exists, that is perpetuated by cycles of violence. You know what I'm saying?
I want to like close the loop here because I did think you really made it. I said that I think it's really important, quote unquote, and useful to frame Eren as the villain. Like I think that's important.
Yeah.
But also I think you made the perfect case for why it's important, which is, you know, we have to. It's important to see that this was the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Personally, when I watched that motherfucker, I was like, Eren, this is not the thing. The whole time I was like, this is. I was certain that the rumbling was about to stop at any second.
Yeah, me
like,
too.
The second they touched the wall, I was like, clearly we're not gonna.
Yeah,
we're not done.
Done, bro.
All right.
Bro, when
he's still going.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I saw Ramsey get smushed, nigga, I was like,
bro, that was
the quickest 180 turn. I'm like, no, this nigga's evil. This nigga for sure. Because Ramsey's oppressed too. You killing other oppressed. Like I thought he's gonna be like, you know what, Marley gotta die. We're gonna reunite the repressed people of the world, and we're gonna find free. This nigga said, nah, kill everybody. I'm like, no.
I thought for certain that Levi was about to like swing in and save that fucking kid right before, like I was like, clearly somebody, where's Mikasa? Like somebody saved his kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn, we're fucked. Like I was like, all right, he's really doing this. But I do think framing him as a villain and also framing the choices, giving us some idea that there could be other choices.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy because now I'm really liking the show even more because they don't show you the choices.
Yes.
Because when you're doing it, you don't really see the choice. You're just like, you're so like down the line on your sort of conditioning a lot of the time.
Yes.
And when like Eren, we never get a chance to kind of expand out of our sense of war ever. We do not see those choices.
Yes.
And so
you see
I
the
think
light, David, you see the light.
I tell you, I'm just going in the other side. And when we just being aware that there is another choice can be enough to give us pause.
Woo!
Like to just go, stop.
That's real.
Like, right? Like, you're like, wait, I know there's got to be something else.
Yeah.
There's got to be something else. And if anything, it's the sort of, not to get too philosophical, but the lack of patience that comes with being in a state of survival.
Woo!
I don't have time to stop. Right? It's war, it's survival, it's this. And so I have no patience. I've got to judge you as quickly as possible. Is that an enemy? Are they going to help me? I gotta know for certain what this is, and I gotta react, and sometimes brutally, because I know what brutality is, because I literally just came from it 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And so I think the framing of Eren as a villain is genius in clever writing, but also creating the empathy, not even empathy, but the real human experience of not being able to see beyond the limited choices that you were given, which most 100% of the time is us.
Yeah.
But to have that sort of nagging thing in the back of your head, like, but if it's like this can't be it.
Yeah.
Like, pause for a little bit. There's gonna be something else. There's gotta be something else. But let this be the last thing. Let the rumbling be the last case, like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's just insane. But I think you put it beautifully. You know, because I think anybody who has had a traumatic experience, like I think there is a moment where you have not been able to think. You know what I mean? And you're just acting. You're just surviving. You know what I mean? I almost cried when you said that because it's like I feel like I've been faced with in that space where I'm just kind of continually moving forward, right? Like Eren says, move forward, right? No matter what, through this, right? And it's like it's only with hindsight that I come back at my life and I look at like how I was moving through this way and I felt like I had no choices. But like with hindsight, I know like, oh, I could have done something different. But it's like in that moment, because of the history, because of etc. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know that I couldn't make those choices. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it makes me have a you know, and people will take a lot of things from Attack on Titan, but it makes me have a profound sense of empathy, not only for myself and be able to forgive myself for like how I have like acted out of my own trauma and I lay awake at night thinking about how dumb and stupid I was throughout my history. Like I just like, why did I do that? I was so stupid, or why did I say that, or you know what I'm saying? Like all the time, right? But it's like it offers me a way to like look back at my history, my life, and have empathy, but also for other people as well. You know what I mean? And like understanding that like people are like what we see at play is often much bigger than what is actually being done right now. You know what I mean? Both on a personal level and then take it out another scope, a bigger level, like a countrywide level, a statewide level, your family wide level. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Ymir is a direct, like, it is the clearest line of like generational trauma being passed down throughout history, right? From 2,000 years ago to you. You know what I'm saying? Shit is crazy, man.
No, that's great. I think we
Yeah.
successfully landed on both sides of the thing, which is exactly where I wanted to be. Because I think that there's it's important to see not both sides, but to see that there's a choice. Like there is a choice even when it feels like you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Which it feels very uplifting for such a
Yeah.
not uplifting show.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the show, I mean, it's really, really sad in a sense of like, it's like a cautionary tale of what not to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel as though like it's so easy to just say, nah, fuck that cautionary tale shit, nigga. This is life, nigga. You know what I'm saying? This is what
Well,
I'm
that's the
finna do.
pressure.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm
That's
in
the
that
pressure
position,
for
I'm
like
Eren. You know what I'm saying? What'd you say?
well, that's the pressure for like your friends and family though too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a lot of the time the battery on our back to just ignore all other options. It's just like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like nothing causes me to not pause faster than like
Yeah.
that being the thing.
Yeah.
And you kind of see that at play for most people. It's just like I gotta take when they get nationalistic, right? I
Yeah.
gotta take care of my people here, but then I gotta take care of my other village, my nation, my da, and it expands out.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do think this was a beautiful, well told story. Last thoughts, anybody,
Okay. David said, hey, we gotta go. Fuck y'all.
guys?
No, I'm all good. I'm having a good
That's a
time,
key for the
David.
last 20 minutes. No,
No. Last thoughts, Izzy?
Oh man. I don't know. My
Uh,
brain is so like I'm just taking everything in.
Facts. Thoughts on
Because I was like so okay, like I was so confused on certain things. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad that we had this talk because
Yeah.
now it's cleared things up and now I see it a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that like I I understand I guess like I never really understood the debate of whether Eren was right or wrong because
Yeah.
I always felt like it was such a I don't know, like I guess like reductive debate.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, like it's
Yeah.
whatever. But I mean, it is important to bring up that he was wrong for choosing genocide. Like I think that that's like
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
because like I kept saying like I'm not going to debate whether he's right or wrong. I'm not going to debate whether like that's like beyond me. Like I'm trying to mostly because I'm trying to get clarity on all of this other stuff. Like
Yeah.
because I think it's obvious, but maybe
Yeah.
because of where I'm at, like politically, like
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an obvious that like genocide is bad.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know? So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we don't really have to get into that because there's so many other elements that we can talk about, Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
felt like people didn't really talk about the political system of the
Yeah.
island itself,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and everything like that. But yeah, I really appreciated this talk because
Yeah.
I think that like one of the biggest takeaways is how trauma informs
Yeah.
so much of what we do,
Yeah.
And at the center of the story is really like everyone is acting out of their own traumas.
Yeah.
And we really see that happen. Um it's like really largely in play. So yeah, it was just such a really enlightening talk. Thank you both. Thank
No,
you both
thank
for having
you.
me here.
I,
I'm
I
so
I
happy.
love doing this, bro. I love doing this, and I love having these conversations. And like, I feel like there's still so much to talk about, especially like from the political side of things. It's like there's
Yeah.
also these things to iron out, and if I can touch on that just a little bit, like obviously I side with oppressed groups no matter what. You know what I'm saying? I'm siding with the like. I'm not gonna look at a situation and be like, oh, like these people who have complete power over another people, and those oppressed people don't have a right to violence. They do have a right to violence. You know what I mean? And like I think
Right.
you can look throughout history, like the Haitian Revolution. It was shown so many times through like their actions that white people would not give up slaves, right? No matter what. Like you could not be reformed out of the system, right? And thus, when the Haitians finally had their revolution, it mirrored the violence that was pushed onto them. You know what I'm saying? So like I 100% I'm saying that like these people have like people have a right to violence to like I'm not, this is not me saying that it's good. You know what I mean? I'm not happy about, but it's like end of the day, like you're gonna oppress people and you're not gonna give them any other chance or voice or anything, they're gonna lash back at you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the you're speaking a language that is violence is the only way, right? And where I see that in Aaron's situation is like Aaron didn't choose like the rest of the world didn't even get a chance. Truly, you know what I mean? Truly
Mhm.
to communicate to Aaron that there's another way forward or there isn't another way forward. I think Aaron kind of just reacted out of trauma, knee jerk reaction, like I have to do this. These options that we do have, like they seem abhorrent to me. I can never do this to my. I can never keep the power of the Titan alive. You know what I'm saying? I refuse to, even though that was more morally correct than genocide 80% of the world, right? He could have just, you know what I'm saying? Like there was other options, you know what I'm saying? But I think people try to make that parallel to aliens as these people are like, I mean, granted, oppressed, right? But it's like we also have to take in the nuance of that of what happened in the actions in history, right? We can't just blanketly say forgive all actions they have because there is no revolutionary group across the world that is going to advocate for world genocide, bro. Because being on the left, it's like you recognize the humanity in others. At least that's what's part of it. Is like we are tied together as human beings and we should try to create a society that unlocks the potential of the human capacity, not you know does this cycle of violence bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's all I have to say. Now I want to thank you guys so much for being here. This is one of my favorite shows in the world, and I like to be able to talk about with people who had such high intelligence and are very articulate and like also passionate about the things I'm passionate about. Like I feel lucky and I feel blessed to be a part of this. So thank you guys.
Oh
David, any
yeah.
last words? I want to give
Thank you.
you the opportunity, Unc.
Honestly, you know,
Eren did nothing wrong, and this whole thing has been a fucking farce. Team Mikasa, I am a Jaegerist. No, man, this was great. I'm glad. Thanks for hanging out, Izzy. I appreciate it, man. Like, you're the best. Congratulations again. Thanks for being here despite that. You're goated.
Yeah.
And I guess that's it, guys.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Izzy, where can they find you?
Yes, please.
Oh, on all platforms at Izzy Kento.
Yes, sir. All right, this has been Mindful Blerd. Mindful Blerd.
Blerd?
Yeah, Mindful Blerd, and we will see you all next time. Peace.